Preservation Commission. We do have a quorum. Let's see. So we can get started on the agenda. The first item on the, can you hear me? The first item on the agenda are the review and approval or revision of the August 23rd, 2023 meeting notes. Does anybody?
I move to approve as revised.
I'll second it.
Any comments from the audience? All right, motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting minutes pass. Under old business, under One Forest Place, Cordelia and John Edmondson, porch roof extension. Is anyone here to represent? Hey, how you doing? Step up to the podium. Please state your name and.
I'm John Edmiston. My wife is Cordelia. I think she's running here from our daughter's tennis game, who she just won, came back. Put her behind a little bit in time.
Okay. Well, this month, last month it was postponed to this month. There were some questions. And since I wasn't here last month, I'll defer to those that were. What questions?
I think what you sent out with the blue or the purple highlighter made it much more easier to understand what the changes were.
Okay.
So just to
What about the red? What is that?
just to refresh, I'll start with this slide to refresh everybody's memory. And John, please correct me if I'm wrong. It looks like the purple is the proposed new roof line and
Yes.
and columns.
Yes.
The red sections here, the top red section is a rough estimation of new construction area, while the bottom represents existing railings that are on the porch today.
Yes, that top area, at this time, well, I think we're going to keep it there and put on more of a flat roof. That you can see that flat roof coming out. I'm just saying you got a red line going across an existing top point.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
To use this as a better, this
Yeah.
profile is a little easier
Yes,
to see.
yes. Uh-huh.
I see what you're saying. So the point is recessed over the current structure.
Currently it is, yes,
Got
it
it.
is.
Okay,
Right.
now I got it. So that's gonna stay and the new roof is gonna all be the same angle. It isn't. Can you go back to the
Yes.
red one, Dave?
The
So-
angle of the existing roof will just keep coming on out.
Got it.
Right.
That was the main question we couldn't understand.
Wish
Now
I could have
the-
been here, guys. Sorry for you.
What are the materials listed anywhere? What is the material going on the roof of the
This
that's
is
covering
same,
the stairway?
at this time, we want to do the same material that we have up there now. So
And what is
basically,
that?
it's a rolling asphalt. It's an asphalt roll.
Oh,
It's not shingle. It's,
Well, that part of it is too shallow
to be shingle,
that
that's
part
right.
is, but going down the stairway isn't. But anyway, so you're considering a rolled asphalt for that
Yes.
going down the stairway?
Right.
And is there a gutter at the bottom of that?
I'll be honest with you, I've not really given much
Yes.
thought to that. There can be. We have drainage at the bottom.
Yeah, there's a gutter
It's
on the
shown
bottom
on
of
the
this
drawing.
side.
Right. But that gutter that you're looking at on the other side goes straight down into another basin gutter that comes across our steps. And that gutter, the new gutter, could drop right down into that.
Got it.
We could also drop the gutter straight out. It's not, I mean, just like the way the water runs now, you're not gonna get any more water as what we
No, you won't
receive
get any
now.
more water. I was just imagining trying to go up or down that stairway during a rain and having a waterfall coming down on you.
Okay,
But it shows a gutter on the drawing.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
it should be fine.
Yeah.
noted. I'll register that note. Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments? Questions? Audience? Anyone?
I move to approve as submitted.
Have a motion to, here a second?
I'll second it.
Motion and second. Any, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Clarified it.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
right, let's see. The next item on the agenda, 45 South Lake, Rick Pandorf fence. Is Mr. Pandorf? Want to step out and just
Second to everybody.
There we go.
you can say as much or as little as you care to.
Nothing to add except for what's in the materials. So if you have any questions, feel free to
Which,
ask away.
oops, much to my embarrassment, have apparently decided not to load this evening.
When just one comment for anyone in the audience. When I reviewed this, I asked the administrator about the fence shown as going over a property line, but understand that this is an old drawing and they have been consolidated, so it's
We have wondered that as well, so you actually gave me a very good piece of information as well. We considered getting a survey done just to really try to understand it, but honestly, the drawing is so off, like you said. We would technically own half of our neighbor's house, and our neighbor would own half of our house, so we've just assumed that cannot possibly be correct.
So
That's good to know, though. Thank you for thank you for knowing that. That's great.
Yeah, just a piece of trivia: if a dashed property line shows up on Cages or a Z shape is on the property line, it more likely no longer exists as a observed property line.
We have worked on figuring that out since we did our first side of the yard when we fenced that area last year. We were trying to figure it out then too, and we were stumped. So that's super helpful. Yeah, thank you.
and since it matches the existing fence on this other side of the yard, it seems appropriate. So, were there any questions?
Well, if you're doing it without a survey, how do you know how accurate you are at the property line? You don't want to encroach on your neighbor's
Yeah,
property.
we're so far away from it, the realistic property line of where the driveway is, that I have no realistic concern that it's going to
Oh,
be an
I see.
encroachment.
Okay.
Yeah, it's basically we have a line of trees that go right where our brick patio is currently, and behind that line of trees, significant, like a good amount back, is our neighbor's driveway. We're going to be fencing in front of the trees on our side, so I can't imagine it would be an encroachment. Yeah, if I had any concern, I would survey. I'm a real estate attorney, so I've seen the horrors of not surveying and it coming back. Very unfortunately, so I'm not too worried though.
Please note, real estate attorney,
Please don't.
for the future.
Please
Don't feel the need. I do mostly commercial, not residential, honestly. So this is out of my pay range, really. Yeah.
Okay. Or any other comments from the commission in the audience? Any neighbors or anyone?
I'm a neighbor, looks great.
Thank
Okay.
you. Appreciate it.
All right. Entertain a motion.
Are you on the other side of Bruce?
I'm behind.
Behind me. Gotcha. Thank you. We like it. It's worked well.
I'll go for 3. I moved to accept it as proposed.
Second?
I'll second
Anyone? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
it.
Opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Approved. Let's see. Next item on the agenda, 3 Rogan Drive, Taylor Wood, new single-family home. Somebody here to represent? State your name for the,
Taylor Wood.
hi.
Yeah.
Do you have any
Just a single family home, 2002 square foot livable square feet, 3 bed, 2 bath, on a slab. Other than that, if there's any questions, please let me know.
Open it up to the commission?
The only thing I saw that I wasn't happy with was the right side elevation. It's all brick, except for that one window at the bathroom in the back.
Yeah.
And there's an opportunity to put a window or two in the garage area up closer to the front to break up that wall, so it's not just one big brick wall across there.
Yeah. The reason being, if I look at the plans, probably most of that's the garage.
Yeah, it
It
is.
added.
Right.
It already got approved by the HOA, but then I have to go back and redraw the plans. Preferably keep it that way, but if need
Typically,
be-
they don't give you, if, based on what we say, well, hold, this is outside the historic.
Well, new
Construction.
construction in planned subdivisions does require planning commission review,
Right.
but this has gone before the Carruthers Pond HOA board and was approved. So
Okay.
But in the past, we have have them put in another window or two on those sides where it's all just brick running
Okay.
across there.
That's
Which is
consistent.
Not good.
I, you'll also like it because you'll have light in the garage. I mean,
Yeah.
I had the same problem, and I ended up putting 2 windows in, and I'm happy I did now.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was the only issue that I had was the same as Bob's as I saw it. The only other thing I would say is I don't know if it's in the plans, but get some insulation underneath your slab.
Yeah. Yeah, we insulate the whole, all the block walls, everything, so
Yeah.
should all be
But I
insulated.
mean, sometimes the builders don't put it underneath the slab itself, and you'll be happy that you did. Because it'll keep you a lot warmer, reduce your heating costs, and make you more comfortable.
So would you consider putting a window in that,
I would consider it if it
elevation.
was
if we,
the only thing that, or if that's the only thing you need, I'd consider it. It's really not a huge deal. I can do it. I'd prefer not to, but if it's a deal breaker, then I'll do it.
okay. All right. Any
I think it needs one.
discussion from the audience
Yes.
on this plan? Would you like to step up and state your name,
This
please?
is a lot that I've done under contract, it's my brother's, and we've had a lot of issues with timing things with the village in the past. And I don't know if with the planning or the HOA.
Oh, excuse me, could you state your
Oh,
name for the secretary, please?
Cindy Taylor.
Oh, thank you, Cindy.
And I don't know if him having to go back to put a window in changes HOA, if you have to put it back to the planning review process again. Yeah,
Any changes?
We've
So
done
are
this
there aren't
before,
any
and
other garages
there's
over
never been
there
a
that
problem
don't
in the
have-
past.
pardon?
We've done this in the past where we've gone back where they have a whole wall of brick,
Yeah.
a few times.
Well, we've been through a lot with even just having the village help us find water line, that they had no idea where it was, sewer line.
That's-
It's been a long process.
Is your concern
Machines
that,
broken.
is your concern this might potentially delay
Yeah,
construction?
yeah, because
Because-
it's already
I
been
would
delayed a
prefer
month.
2, but
Yeah, I don't
he only
think,
has-
I don't
he
think it
only has
would,
2 on the
because
other
for all the
side,
slab
so-
work and the framing work, you could frame that window in after the
That could
fact,
be a
before the bricklayers get there. So I think you'd have plenty of time to go back to the HOA. And if they strongly
2 single
object
windows.
to adding that window,
But we
then-
can't close until he has a zoning permit, so there's no other garages
With
over
them.
there that don't have windows.
Okay. When's the next HOA meeting there?
Will they do it? I don't know.
Well,
Okay, I'm gonna go over and drive and see if there's any other without windows.
If you want to.
all right.
So I move that we approve it with 2 single windows in the garage area to break up that wall.
We'll hear it. Mark.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
All right. Any other discussion?
I'm sorry, I missed it. What was?
Add 2 windows in that facade.
All right.
So that's the motion.
You could, yeah, he said 2 single
clarifying
windows.
question.
I think it would be also okay with one big
One
double.
double would
One
be
double
okay.
window.
Like the ones you have on the other side.
Other
You
side.
could do a double or 2 singles.
I guess where I'm confused is where does the jurisdiction fall for you guys to be able to do that if it's not in the historical village?
Oh,
So the planning and the planning commission's responsibility relative to the design of structures in a in a planned subdivision is something that's outlaid in our ordinances. So they do oversee the design and plan
So-
review of new homes and planned subdivisions.
So if I'm essentially any new home in Glendale has to go through this? Am I correct?
Any
saying
home in
that?
a planned subdivision like Carruthers
Okay.
Pond.
But any changes to existing homes or any new homes have to be approved as well
In this historic district.
in the historic district.
in the historic district, right?
So what about when you tell people to do things like put shutters on there?
Well,
Went on-
we didn't bring that up.
No, I know,
During
and
this
then
discussion.
they take them off and then they're not told to put them up again?
It's an
I don't
enforcement
recall.
issue.
Yeah, I don't recall shutters
Or
being
zoning, you know?
considered part of the. If you have zoning concerns, you should contact the village office.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Right, and shutters aren't
If I could
appropriate
say-
here because these are mostly double windows.
Right.
If I can make one other comment, another issue I would have with putting windows in there, even though would just be the garage. The issue is it's only a 6-foot offset there. You're really on top of a neighbor there, and now you're giving a little bit more insight to the house.
You can put curtains on the inside or shutters on interior shutters or whatever you want.
Yeah.
It's to break up the wall. It's an architectural thing. You have a big brick wall running across there, and I'm not the only one that saw it and didn't like it.
Right.
I would raise the same issue. Beth would raise the same issue if she was here.
So, I think I heard a motion, but then I heard, it was the second, did it bring up the single or double? Was that part of the motion?
Well, I said 2 single, but it could be a double
Or
also.
double?
Yeah.
Right. He could take the exact window he has on the left side and put it on the right side, and I think that would be appropriate.
Mhm.
Or he could do 2 single windows.
Right.
That's his, right.
Is that the motion for the
Yeah.
option?
Yes.
And then is that the second?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second, so all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let me just make a note. Let's see. All right, let's see, the next item on the agenda, hello Beth, welcome, is 800 Congress Avenue, Catherine and Warren Glover driveway alteration. And there was some,
Chairman Kerr, I think the notes on it ought to reflect that Mrs. Sullenberger has joined us at this point.
oh, I thought I said hi, Ms. Sullenberger. Ms. Sullenberger has joined the
Hello, everyone.
Planning Commission. So,
Sorry for the delay.
is there anyone here, the Glovers here to represent this application?
I'm Warren Glover Jr. I see.
There were, we were kind of confused about exactly what was going on here.
Right.
And if you could explain the, I don't know, if on the plot plan, but one of the confusions I had was on one of the plot plans, it shows the carriage house, and on another plot plan, it shows a carriage house with a garage. And I
Yeah.
wasn't sure which one represented reality today,
Well, the garage isn't there. I can tell
Okay.
you that's for
so
sure.
that's not
Ye-
the part of it.
Right.
Okay.
it's this drawing.
I think that those were just used in lieu of the fact that we hadn't had a survey done yet.
Okay,
It was just kind of what information we had.
okay,
The survey was just done in this past week. We haven't received the full report or anything yet.
okay.
But it has been done at this point now. I'm just waiting on the guy who did it to.
Could you come up and show us what part of the
Come
driveway is
through.
being taken out, because we can't really tell from the description.
Let's see
Tell you what,
the,
if you wanna make it easier,
the shaded area up on the drawing
Yeah.
to the left.
It basically, it's almost right.
can you draw, you can just draw with your finger on here.
Also,
Can you move the drawing over to the right some?
He doesn't have to, because it's gonna be this part.
There it is. Okay.
we would just be basically where the property line.
If you just, yeah, just go ahead and
Okay,
just, yeah,
sorry.
make it easier.
Basically, approximately there, bollards, and then approximately here, bollards.
Yeah.
Oh.
Is what we.
That part will be
Okay.
That
taken
way,
out.
it's like a walk.
I
just
see.
walking only thing.
Okay.
Actually, I think this one, it would be right here, because we were gonna do it on the right side. If you're looking from the driveway, there's a large tree. We wanted the tree to be on the other side of the bollards.
Okay.
So you're taking out that area in the middle.
Correct.
So that was my question, because I thought the highlighted area I was gonna ask you where the carriage house resident would park. So
Right,
now,
yeah,
I
it was
I see what you mean now. Okay,
And I think in the future, ideally, we would also change our parking situation, but for now, we just want to cut the traffic off. It's really our main
okay,
concern, because
Okay.
I've got a 2-year-old and a 7-year-old, and my 7-year-old just started riding a bike and stuff like that, and I
And this would be replaced with grass?
Eventually, more
planting.
than likely, we're not a whole 100% on that yet because we know that, well, honestly, we were kind of surprised by the fact that we were approved before our survey because the last correspondence I had said we needed a survey. And then we received the approval letter before the survey ever happened.
So to provide some clarification to that point,
Please.
prior to the approval being issued, or
Should have said that.
before the approval was issued, these plans were not submitted. They were then submitted. They served as effective as the survey. The aerial photograph that appeared in the packet was what was originally submitted. Obviously, that doesn't show property lines or distances or, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So this was deemed to be sufficient. If a survey is dramatically different from this, it is, of course, the responsibility of the property owner to verify that the work conforms with the survey. So that would be something,
Right,
you know,
for sure.
if this appears to be wildly incorrect, and judging by the fact it's supported by the other site plan that appears in the packet, I'm inclined to agree that this is more or less accurate.
So the only thing you're planning on doing right now is putting the bollards in?
For right now, that is what we applied for
That'd be
and,
better for
and
bike
we're
riding
approved
anyway.
for. Sorry, I can't.
That'd be better for bike riding.
Exactly. It still lets people go through, and then if my daughter decides she wants to get adventurous, we've got plenty of grassy yards she can do that in too. So,
So what will the bollards look like?
there we have some examples where there's a couple other places around Glendale that have had bollards installed over the years. We figured we'd try to keep in line with what else we see around town.
I don't think they came through.
Well, I think maybe it's just that one right there. That one right there. It's I don't remember the specifics.
These are at the end of Myrtle Avenue.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, something along
yeah,
those
maybe
lines.
fine.
I mean, just yeah.
Very simple.
Yeah.
So to be clear, you're not, it says on the application you were gonna remove the blacktop, but you're not doing that
I
this time?
mean, like I said, I think we were kind of hemmed up because we thought we were waiting until after the survey for anything to move, so we didn't start formulating a full assessment or plan there. We haven't called anybody out to contract any work or anything. And as I said, it's just been a couple days since the surveyor came out, and then Alan and Lucinda have both come down and spoken to us since then, and now we're here to figure out how it goes. I'm very unfamiliar with this process,
Okay.
so
Okay.
it's, yeah.
So, do you wanna leave that removal as part of the process of this application at this time, or do you wanna come back later for that part? And just do the bollards tonight?
What do you
Well,
want?
we're gonna get into this other issue here in a minute.
I'd
Why would
let
we
the
accept
applicant,
the
I'd let the
removal
applicant address
as-
We
them.
don't have any problem.
You might
Excuse me,
wanna-
we have somebody in the audience speaking.
Part of it is just so much traffic in and out of there, and that's only one entrance, off Congress Avenue. And our neighbors have two other driveways that go onto Fountain Avenue and stuff. And we have the sections of the driveway that are shown we don't utilize this at all, and it's really poorly maintained and stuff. So we thought in the long run, we'd after we put the bollards we'd pull that torn up driveway out of there and put either grass or trees and stuff in there.
So yes, we would like to keep
And green it up.
keep
Okay.
that
Okay.
removal if possible.
Okay.
Yeah,
I don't think it matters if you
Yeah.
leave it or remove it.
yeah, I think we approve both. I believe Mr. Dolan is here, correct?
I have a lot to say.
And so, let's,
You wanna hear from me or you guys say?
Just in a minute.
so I think we've had enough for the removal and the bollards. That scope is within the purview of this commission.
Right.
So that's what we'll be talking about and voting on if appropriate. But there is a potential for a right-of-way easement that we'd
Right.
like to hear from Mr. Dawson.
Right, for sure.
So if you don't mind,
No, we will step aside for sure.
thank you.
Okay, let me have that. Thank you. Okay, first of all, thanks for sending the letter to us. Because I was out of town, came back on Wednesday, and here's the letter.
But you sent it, and you didn't have to, so I appreciate that. I don't know whether you all are aware. Well, number one, I am aware that you're looking at zoning only. You're looking at zoning, and you're looking at historic district. The understanding is any legalities involved, most legalities other than zoning and the historic district, we have to deal with each other. That is correct, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, the drive we're talking about has been an easement for at least 64 years. The property was sold to the Glovers. Catherine Glover sold it, Dee Dee Sawyer sold it to Catherine Glover. That was about 64 years ago. The Sawyers had a full easement to the property after they sold the property. Then that easement went from the Sawyers to the Hokangas, who purchased the property, and then from the Hokangas to us purchasing the property. So that's a 64-year period. There, to my knowledge, there was not one single complaint about the driveway. Excuse me. As far as the use of the drive, Lucinda and I drive out to Fountain. We also drive to Congress Avenue. As far as being a lot of traffic, there's, in our opinion, there's very, very little traffic. We don't have kids going in and out. We are very safe. I talked to the Glover, to Warren Jr.'s kids, as if they're out there, stop and we wave and talk, and your daughter plays traffic cop, and well, she waves me in. But I know this is all beside the point. But what I'd like to have would be to extend this to your October meeting, so I have time to look into the easement. On my first two mortgages, you have the description of the property, and then it has right after that typed in easement of record. So it is not in the actual deed, I don't think. I haven't looked at my official deed. But it is in the first two mortgages, and there may very likely be a certified, the certified easement.
Okay.
That needs to be looked into. A number of things need to be looked into. So that's why I would like to extend it if we can. I talked to Will Sawyer right away, excuse me, who confirmed what I told you about the Sawyers. And I think Will would like to come to a meeting. So I don't know what you can do. If you just turn the whole thing over to us.
I don't think it's unreasonable that we could, because of what we review and approve, the scope that we would review and approve, the landscaping basically, we could go ahead and do with a contingency that of some reasonable time period for you to come back with documentation for your easement or your right-of-way.
Well, let me add some clarity here. The letter that was sent to both the Glovers and the Doans, which expressed the zoning code approval of this work, was very clearly written to carve out the situation that the work that's being proposed has been approved on a zoning basis simply because this kind of work is approvable on a zoning basis. It makes no statement of any private agreements, easements, contracts, anything like that that might exist between the two property owners, and is not the purview of the village to enforce those agreements, those private agreements. So too is it not the purview of the Planning Commission, in my opinion, to enforce those private agreements. The approval of the zoning approval and then the Planning Commission approval are based on the Glover's ability to perform this work on their property, and effectively that limits the Planning Commission and my approval as zoning commissioner. If there are private agreements that would interfere with the Glovers performing this work or would prohibit it or restrict it or whatever the case may be, those would be enforced privately between those two parties. It is not typical for us to notify an adjacent property owner for a planning commission application, like we did in this case. But given how closely these properties are connected and how intertwined they are, it seemed to be prudent to notify both parties with the matching. They received matching identical documents, which was the letter of approval and the application materials. So that's my opinion from a zoning perspective, that any private agreements that may exist should be enforced privately, and the planning commission's purview should be restricted to the ability for the Glovers to perform this work on their property from a historical appropriateness standpoint.
So you're saying we can't put any time limit on our motion for exercising the work?
I'm not an attorney, but I would say that would be probably a reasonable conclusion.
So,
But you could
We
delay
have an
it.
attorney at the head of the table.
You do, although I must say I don't function here as an attorney. I'm a member of the commission, so whatever I say should be taken simply as that and not a legal opinion. I guess my first question was, does the planning commission approve bollards at all?
Actually, I do recall when the structure that we added, the music structure at the Scout House, we did ask them to put those in so that anybody coming down the driveway wouldn't run into the building. So I do know that one specifically we did.
and we did it for the quiet zone also.
And we approve fences and other landscape.
Fencing, and that's one
Features.
thing. I was just wondering about the
Yeah.
bollards.
Bollards.
Whether we, I want to make sure we weren't expanding.
And driveways.
Driveway
jurisdiction.
alterations.
And if we do a motion, do we simply ignore all that easement stuff and just do the motion and not even mention it in the motion?
Yes, planning commission is bound by the outline of the enforcement in the code.
Okay.
So chapter 32.
But
Okay.
I have a question about the history of this driveway, however, because the current Glover residence is the carriage house of the house that is now owned by the Doans. So is this driveway in the historic right-of-way that linked the two properties? Because my concern is that by erasing the driveway, we are erasing a part of the history of those two properties. And it's even possible in the future that the owner of the house on Fountain may wish to buy repurchase the carriage house and reconnect the properties. So I'm sort of concerned about erasing that evidence, that cultural landscape feature.
Is that the original configuration of the driveway? Because I saw something in the drawings that showed an old driveway and a new driveway. It showed.
Well,
It shows
Good
that
question.
It's definitely 64 years old at least. And I would say, in my bet, if anybody wanted to bet, I'll bet it's 100 years old. That drive, the drive, of course, the carriage house belonged to our house, right?
Yeah.
And so, they had to have a road that went from our house all the way out to Congress Avenue. I mean, that's, with the carriage house, the road was to the left and straight on out. So I would say, I guess that could be determined, how old the road is, but it's, certainly has a lot of history.
That's where I saw
Well,
Over
it
a
would-
long period of time.
It would show up on the 1869 map.
Oh, yeah.
It is one of the original 12 homes in Glendale.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I would think it would definitely be part of the history, yeah.
So, but again, we can only make motions and approve what is submitted or reject what is submitted based on the ordinances we have, not on any unknown that may exist right-of-ways or easements. So it's really not in our purview.
Well,
to do
if we're
that.
Well, it's a
just
good reason to
approving,
delay.
if we're just
Get the specific information on the drive, yeah.
if we're just approving the installation of bollards, I'm okay with that. If we are also voting to remove the pavement, I'm not okay with that.
Can I make one more comment, please?
Sure.
It says new drive.
Because I don't have enough information, basically.
Are you finished now? Yeah, no, I'm not finished. Was I finished or not?
It's up here.
Could we-
No,
this-
that's all right.
this- Did you want to?
Yeah.
Say something too.
Oh, we'll get it to you.
I would say we have a parcel of land, which is opposite the Clovis house. It's back at the end of our property on the far left-hand side. And the original purpose was a retirement home. And then we would need access, of course, from that house to the street.
Is it this,
And so
this lot here?
it probably
On the
is.
drawing.
If you
Is it
have
that
it,
one?
that's,
No, that's
Or
other
is
one.
it over
That's-
here?
Mhm.
Okay.
I believe so.
It's to the right of that driveway when you go in from here.
So it's-
this one.
You're at,
yeah, so that's another question.
Yeah.
With a parcel of property back there, you know, whoever builds, if they ever build, the idea was that there'd be a drive that would go out to the drive that's there right now and then out to Congress Avenue.
is that on the, is that lot you're referring to south of the carriage house lot?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
So another option would be to have another curb cut getting into that lot from Congress. But anyway, we're going around in circles on this because we really are limited in what we can review and
Mhm.
approve for this specific application. And then that's all I can say on that.
Okay.
What are we approving now?
So the application, and then we have one more
Because
from the
I
audience.
don't,
Lucinda wants to say
I
something.
would just like to mention that we've been in the house for like 41 years, and we've been very good neighbors, and we've maintained the driveway and have been very low-key, and I agree with Beth that we do have a historical property, and if the carriage house would sell, if it would be for sale, I would buy it in a heartbeat. We want to be good stewards of this parcel of land that's a really great part of historical Glendale. I did split the property about 25 years ago, so we do have that extra lot in the back where the swimming pool sits. And if building goes back there, then we'll have to put in all new driveways. And if the Glovers do close off the driveway that we use, not that often, then I'll have to put in a whole new driveway parallel to it, and we're just gonna muck up this whole nice historical, what we have is a beautiful backyard. There are two little girls that ride on the driveway, we're very careful. And, you know, we've been good neighbors, so I think this whole thing is just totally unnecessary. And, I think that we could come to another agreement where they could find, you know, if the girls wanna ride their bikes, they're not gonna tear up the driveway. Where are they gonna ride their bikes? On Congress Avenue? Well, that's not safe. So I think this whole thing is just, totally unnecessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Sir?
In 1969, when Mrs. Sawyer sold my parents this property, my parents' intention was they'd got a great number of old mantles and staircases from these houses that were going down in Wyoming and stuff. And they intended to convert it back then into they were gonna, we had the house right very next to it at 60 East Fountain Avenue. My grandfather built it, Stanley Matthews, and it ran from Fountain to Congress, just like all these big old properties used to. And it was sold off by my grandmother back in the 50s and stuff. And the people that moved into what used to be the house, it's Mr. Schwarb lived there forever, but it had a brick wall that comes where it separated the difference between Stoneold and the house that my grandfather that I was raised in, and the house that was where the people that worked for my grandparents lived during those days. And there didn't seem to be any problem with this. We bought this property in '69, and when we got all this material from Wyoming, we came to realize that there was something with the village that we, unless we moved the whole building 30 feet further back from Congress, it could never be used for anything except for what it was built for, horses and buggies. And so for years, we didn't use it for anything. We had two businesses down at number 25 and number 29 Village Square. We had antique and clothing stores down there for about 15 years. And the only thing we used that carriage house, the Hokangas had moved in there, and we always got along just great with them. And since we didn't use, nobody lived there, it wasn't a residence or anything, we came in our trucks from Congress and put things, used it as warehousing sources. So we have no problem with any of that. But and then about 99, I put in that other picture you have where there was a garage next to it. That's where I was doing things with steel and stuff, and I presented it to the village and stuff, and they gave us a variance, and then they came back, and because it was made out of steel and that wasn't antique stuff, that we could no longer build that garage and stuff. So then we went ahead and using that variance, we turned it into a residence. So now it is our usage and ownership of that driveway is a lot different now because we have 5 people living in that. And when we have continually, I have to stop at I can't get in or out the driveway because one of the Doans or one of the people that works on their house or their pool is blocking my access to the.
That's not
to,
true. That's not true at all, and you know it.
That is true.
We never have anything blocking.
I'm not going to argue about this. You know.
Okay.
We need to
This is a matter of point that this is. They have 2 other entrances and driveways to their property. Okay, and we have only this one, and we have 2 young children there. We don't and aren't allowed to use their swimming pool, which is closer to our place than theirs. We're not making issues about anything. It's we're just trying to get the best utilization and safest place we can for my mother who still lives there. She's 92 years old, and so for her grandchildren and her great grandchildren to have a safe place to go outside and play, you know, which it's hard for children to find. I mean, I walked all over this village when I was 8 years old, you know, but that was a long time ago, and it's not safe to be anywhere hardly.
Okay.
And that's all I, thank you very much.
And, go
I have
ahead.
another question. Is the driveway a maintenance issue? How is it maintained?
The only place the driveway has been maintained at all in the last 15, 20 years is where the property line is that goes up to their house. They maintain theirs, but we don't utilize it, so we don't.
Okay.
So is the reason why you want to take the driveway out because you don't want to maintain it? Because
No,
you don't
because
use it?
He doesn't
Cut
maintain
off.
it.
Oh, okay, I just was wondering if there was if cost was a factor. I don't know.
And that's the bottom line, and the issue is out of our domain, really. All we can do is rule on the bollards and the removal of the asphalt on their property. And we understand that. We just can't do anything for you between the neighbors. You all have to do that outside of this.
So what about the drive, historic, the home was built in 1850, it's one of the original homes in Glendale. So taking out, that doesn't make any difference?
Does to me.
We'd have to bring that to a vote. So is there any more discussion on the removal of the driveway and the addition of the bollards? Because that's what's in front of us on the table right now.
Can we
So,
vote on those
so,
separdo
Do we have any other
But
discussion?
what we
amongst the
say, it won't be
planning
acted
commission?
on until they straighten out their own issues.
Not necessarily. I understand we cannot put a time limit on that. That's not something we can do.
Yeah, I had a very cordial talk with Warren Jr. yesterday, and you know, he assured me that they're not about to go in and tear up the drive until we get everything squared.
I heard that earlier,
Yeah,
so.
I can confirm that, like, we're we're not looking, if there's something that's out of our right, we're not looking to do it. We're not
Sure.
gonna move forward.
Well, that's
We don't
good
to hear.
want a whole bunch of lawsuits, yada,
Okay.
yada. If it becomes apparent that's the case,
Okay.
we'll drop it.
Sorry,
And
but
that's
one more
reasonable.
question.
Thank you.
So, do the Dowens have an easement that enables them to use
We
the
don't know- we
driveway
do not
out
know
to
that.
Congress?
We don't know that.
No.
Well,
That's the whole
Because-
issue. They have to
That's-
go look at that.
Yeah, I just
Separate
got
from
home and
this
I haven't talked to an attorney and, I have to really look at that. I did look at the first two mortgages that,
Let me,
that I had. I would just say that it's subject to, I think I mentioned that earlier, subject to
Easement of
easement of
record.
record is right on both mortgages.
I'll clarify. If an easement does exist, that would be a private matter that the two property owners would navigate outside of this
But
committee.
But if the easement agreement was made between several generations ago of
Mhm.
property owners, how long is it still
I don't-
valid?
I don't know.
I think
And,
it goes
and,
with the property.
and truthfully is not part of, is not the purview of the planning commission, just because
Right.
it's a private easement.
Thank you.
So we need to focus our motion on what's on the table.
Okay, I would move to vote separately on the issue of the bollards and the,
Removal of the driveway.
and removal of the driveway. So, I'll move approval of the bollards.
I'll second it.
So should we vote separately, Mr. Administrator?
That
I
seems to be the
moved- I
purview
moved
of.
that,
All right.
and he
so-
seconded it.
All right, so there's a motion on the table. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the bollards portion passes.
Okay, I move to deny removal of the driveway pavement.
I'll second that motion.
Any other discussion? Motion second on denial of removing the driveway at this time.
To, just if I may, to clarify your motion is deny removal of the driveway based on the historical
Historic
connection between the
connection.
two structures
Thank you.
on the parcels.
Thank you.
And I agree with that.
So all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay. I hope y'all can work that out. Like you said, sir. Appreciate that. And then they won't be tearing anything up until you have time to find your easement.
Yeah, we want to,
All right.
again, more knows, community that we would like to find some kind of compromise.
I'll make notes on that later. All right, that's that one. Now, the next item on the agenda, 940 Forest Avenue, Bobby Harmeyer, window replacement.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Harmeyer. We've had a chance to review your application, the windows. You can say any, little or as much as you want.
Huh?
You can say as little or as much as you want.
We've got about 10 windows on the second floor of the Mattel Dowd household that we want to replace with Pella windows. Same size, same architecture, same look from the street. The only difference is it's a single pane,
You're not gonna
bitter
have two
cold,
over two?
and we want to just get them insulated.
Okay, thank you.
Are the existing windows 2 over 2?
Excuse me,
Are
sir?
the existing windows 2 over 2, or are they just a single glass?
Yeah, they're single, the old-fashioned glass.
But is it just one light window, or is it divided?
It's divided, and we are
The
keeping
new
that
ones will
look.
be divided.
You're
Will
you're
it be
duplicating.
simulated divided light? Simulated divided light, will it have dividers on the inside and outside of the glass?
The what we call mutton
Yeah.
bar, will be in between both panes of glass.
In between the glass?
Yes, sir.
And on the outside. So
And-
there's
No.
multiple ways to do this.
Three layers.
Yeah, so you can have, in a single piece of glass and a single light, you just have two pieces of glass.
Mhm.
You can have exterior grids,
Right.
or you can have exterior grids and an interior grid.
Right.
That's what we want,
Okay.
okay? Now, if they wanna spend the money, you can get real divided lights where they have the wood going all the way through, or the connection going all the way through, but that's more expensive and we don't require that.
And if
Okay.
it's insulated glass, it requires a very thick divider
Yes.
to hold that glass, and it doesn't look as good.
Yeah.
Yeah, the estimate that we've gotten on the windows now is the 2 panes of glass with the mutton bar in between the glass itself.
Okay.
They're not wanting anything on the exterior simply because of the issue with rot and all that.
So this is just an
They're wood.
interior grid in between the layers of glass,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah.
not.
And as you're looking
simulated
from it from the
divided
road, it will look identical to what is there now.
But these are aluminum clad windows, right?
Yes, sir, on the outside.
Right, so you don't have an issue if that divider we're talking about is also aluminum clad.
Well, we've got an option. They do make them on the wood on the outside, and the homeowner just expressed he really doesn't want wood or
I wouldn't want wood
aluminum
on the outside either.
on the outside. He just wants it on the inside. And I told him, I said, well, this is up to the board, what you're willing to allow him to do.
So it'll be aluminum clad wood on the outside and wood on the inside.
Yes.
So it's wood on
Yes,
the
sir.
inside, correct. What we're talking about, the only issue I think we have is with the divider. We don't approve the one between the glass.
Okay?
What we approve is called a simulated divided light, SDL.
Right.
You know what that is?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what we approve.
With a space, so a spacer bar between the glass.
So, I'm looking on the Pella Wind site, they call them grids,
Mm-hmm.
and, do you know how wide the current grid is?
No, not the
So-
grid. I don't have the measurement on the grid. I've got
Probably
the measurement
7/8.
of the overall window.
Randy, the grill,
7/8.
ILT
Oh, there it is,
7/8.
7/8.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe, and I'm also on the Pella website. I believe ILT is their trademark for simulated divided light, if I'm not mistaken.
Right,
I don't
I'm
know.
just looking so we can get it
Sure.
the same.
That might be
call-
one light also, with
Yeah.
just an
Would it be
interior
helpful if
thing.
I
Yeah, but.
pulled that up?
But, I am, okay, so what we're asking for is what they call grills between the glass,
Yes, sir.
plus, room side wood grills, wood and an exterior grid as well,
Okay.
okay?
An
Yes,
exterior
sir.
grid would be aluminum clad,
Yeah,
so they
yeah.
don't have to worry about it rotting.
That's what I expressed to them is it doesn't have to be wood because he was worried about the rot
Yeah.
issue.
You wouldn't want wood nowadays.
And I said, well, that is an option. If they force you to put that on the outside of the window, we can get something that will, hold up to the weather.
And that'll have the same OG profile that you're looking for too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so, and, they also do fiberglass. Doesn't have to be aluminum clad, it can be fiberglass.
Yeah. Right.
So, yeah, I mean,
Is that what you're looking at,
That
Randy?
looks
Integral
right.
light.
Yes,
That is
that
correct.
is right.
And that's what is
Integral
listed
light
on the
technology.
application,
Yeah.
their ILT.
yes.
Grills.
Integral, that's the key word.
Okay. All
Okay,
right,
thank you.
Yeah. So that would be okay.
Yes,
The
sir.
one just between the glass would not be okay.
Right.
Right, okay.
Okay, I move
Okay.
approval.
Okay. Sorry about the confusion, guys.
well, every manufacturer, Marvin calls it something different than Pella calls it something different. So and some of them say simulated divided lights and it doesn't have the interior grille.
Right.
So driving down to this is important, Bobby. I'll second.
So we have a motion and second, but before we vote, are there comments from the audience? Mr. Bodan?
You have approved grid on the outside, grid on the inside as being simulated divided light.
Right.
And
No,
No.
grid in
No.
the center.
no,
No.
but yes,
I'm-
that,
I'm
like
sorry.
it,
It's a
like
spacer bar.
what you're looking at in the screen.
Let me finish. You have approved both. You've approved grid on the outside, grid on the inside as approved. You've also approved the one with the one in the middle that has all three of them. So you
When?
need to be consistent in those because
When did we approve that?
it's,
Do you have it?
I'll have to go back, but we had that discussion before on
Okay.
both have been suggested to be okay, so.
I think we've
Yeah,
been
if you
very
could-
clear about
Yeah, I
what we
think we've been
want.
very
If you
clear.
could provide that, we
And some-
appreciate looking at it, and
Okay,
we'll use it as a learning experience.
do the research. You can spend your time, sir.
Any other comments from the audience on the motion? So, motion and second, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The motion carries, thank you.
You're done? Okay.
We are, you can talk, get the permit.
Yeah, we'll give you a call when the permit's ready.
Permit, okay.
Terminology problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna do it.
Okay, so that,
2 or 3 copies of each one. We're gonna get out of this issue.
that takes care of all the items on the agenda. Any other
It's always been SDR.
persons in the audience wishing to address the commission? Public? Hey, could you
Cindy
please state-
Taylor.
Okay, Cindy, thank you.
Okay, I'm actually
Excuse me.
back on the 3 Rogan Drive.
Without it.
So I want to simplify the process a little if we can. So I've seen before where you give approval if it's done, like if he adds a window in, that you would approve the plan. Kind of like the house on Coral that's being built now, that was approved if they added what you had asked them to add. Is it possible to approve it with the window as you have asked to be done? And then have them get a drawing to David? Get it done by the review board for Crothers Pond, and then get a copy of the window on the blueprint
Yeah.
or picture, whatever you need. And then it can be approved by David, since it has been approved by you for that?
Correct.
Okay.
That's what was, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
It
that
doesn't
can
have to
be,
come back here again.
Yeah, you don't.
it does not,
No,
okay.
Not here.
I don't think that was clear.
Yeah.
Oh, we're sorry.
So
Yeah.
we,
Okay.
it is approved
Yeah.
as long as I have that.
Once I had time to sit and think.
And you won't have any problem with the homeowners. Just
Okay.
focus on that.
Um, So, just to clarify, he will go, his dad's a builder. He will put the, window on there,
Mhm.
get it approved at Crothers Pond, send it to David, and then the zoning
Should be done.
per commit can be given immediately?
Yeah, there's no, sending it to me is just confirmation that you've made the change, and then you can proceed with construction.
I just want to make sure I had on tape.
Because you'll need to submit the final plans for building permit approval and review and approval. So that will, yeah, when you have that, go ahead and just submit that to me, and you're good to proceed.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same thing she just asked, so.
All right, nice.
I was actually gonna say I can draw it on the plan right now if you want me.
I sketched it on the approval document I'll be sending to
Okay,
him,
yeah.
so, but
I
you'll have
should
the nice.
I should have it in about a week or two.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other public comments? Okay. And then we have under other business, I had one item I wanted to bring up, but does anybody have any other business? Mr. Green?
David, what was the outcome of your discussion with the people at 195 Fountain?
Could you remind us of what the
Hey,
subject
please
was?
clarify that for me.
I called
I
you.
sincerely
la-
apologize.
I called you last Tuesday.
Yes.
This is
We
the
need-
house, the
this is,
first house on the south side of
Yes.
Fountain from the
Well,
square.
Yes, unfortunately, due to the state audit of our financial records, I have not had an opportunity to follow up with those property owners. But I will follow up with them in writing, notifying them that any work that is completed or slated to be completed does need to go to the planning commission for review and approval.
I mean, because if, I would make them tear the window they put in out. And-
That is certainly an option.
And the driveway is not appropriate.
We'll review the property and follow up, and
Yeah.
anything that needs to come back before
and
planning.
From my understanding is they have not applied for a work.
Correct.
So
I don't
They
recall
shouldn't be
any
doing any
permits.
work in
And
that house.
they should know better, because they've done a lot of properties in Glendale.
So this is clearly somebody's trying to get around the.
We'll follow up with them. We don't like people doing that.
No
Okay.
mercy.
Any other business? I have one item. It was brought to my attention that UDF started selling lottery tickets, and during the public hearing phase of our February 18 hearing for the conditional use, the question was asked and answered by the UDF representatives that they do not sell lottery tickets. So I would just like to ask that the village solicitor look into whether that is now a violation of the conditional use that we gave them. Because during the meeting, we also asked and answered about selling gasoline, which they answered specifically that they needed that for their business to be successful. And that was not a proactively entered line item in the conditional use that you can sell gasoline, because they asked and answered it in the hearing. Same for the lottery tickets. We didn't specifically put it in because it was a moot issue when they said they don't sell them. So I would like to request that the village attorney look at
We
it.
can follow up.
Just out of curiosity, what is the objection to selling lottery tickets?
Traffic, impact on traffic. I've personally been to places where they've sold lotteries when lottery fever comes into play, where the parking lot is completely filled down the street, lines in the store. It's a rare occasion, but it is in the village plan that you talk about the effect on traffic. That would have been raised as a point of discussion during the hearing, but because they didn't sell them, it wasn't brought up. So that's it.
We'll look into it.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. Any other? Mayor?
I do have one more question.
Oh.
And it isn't about, property. So, and it may not be the appropriate place to ask, but with zoning and variations on zoning or getting approval for, what do you call it?
Conditional use.
Conditional use. How does that
Well,
happen?
actually, for conditional use, there's a list in the village, the ordinances. There's a specific list of activities that could be
Yes.
considered appropriate for
Right.
conditional use.
I've read them,
And there's
yes.
also a list of things that are not allowed for conditional use, so.
Okay, so like Zone D, that's a business
commercial
with,
zone.
commercial business with a residential on the second floor.
Mm-hmm.
So if that were a different kind of business, who would approve that?
What do you mean? Different kind of business?
One that's not in the conditional
So
use?
we have.
The one I emailed you about. I don't really
don't-
want it brought up as a
I
subject
don't
though.
recall, unfortunately, but
Okay.
we have permitted uses in our code and we have conditional uses in our code. The permitted uses are ones that are outright approved, regardless of use or other factors. So, for instance, single family use is undoubtedly approved. Using the commercial districts as an example, I think barber shop might be one of them. I can't recall. It's a long list off the top of my head. But those would be approved. Conditional uses would have to go before the planning commission, who would issue a recommendation to council. Council would ultimately review and approve, deny, or approve of conditions, a potential conditional use.
Okay, I just want to make sure that everyone has to follow the zoning
Yes,
rules. so-
everyone does.
Okay,
If you have any concerns about that, you should contact us.
I did.
Can you provide some clarity on what that
I'll
was
do it
concerned?
privately.
Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right. Mayor,
Okay, if that's all, I move to adjourn.
your second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, thank you.